Welcome to MNR's digital classes. This is the third lecture on scalar and vector fields. In this session, we are going to discuss about vector fields. In the previous session, we discussed about the scalar fields. In this session, we are going to discuss about the vector fields. A vector field is a region in space, in which a vector physical quantity is expressed from point to point in the region of space by a continuous vector function a bar x comma y comma z, representing the value of that physical quantity both in magnitude and direction at each point. So by this definition, it is clear that a vector field is a space in which any vector physical quantity can be expressed from point to point, both in magnitude as well as direction, as a continuous function. This is very important. So, a vector field is a function that assigns a unique vector to every point in a given region. To take the space, at every point, a vector field assigns a unique vector to the given point. Now observe the diagram. When a vehicle moves, the air blowing in the opposite direction, opposite to the direction of motion, is represented by streamlines. So in such a way that all the arrows, the collection of these arrows together represents the velocity field. Now observe here, the arrows are drawn in such a way that at each point, the direction of the arrow represents the magnitude of the vector field at that, direction of the arrow represents the direction of the vector field at that point, and the length of the arrow represents the magnitude of the vector field at that particular position. Now let us understand more clearly the pictorial representation of vector field. A vector field is treated as a collection of arrows, such that one arrow for each point x, y, z in a region of space. As we discussed already, the direction of the arrow at any point specifies the direction of the vector function, and its length is proportional to its magnitude. Now let us consider some examples of vector fields. There is a typographic error here. It is vector fields. The first best example which we already discussed is the streamline flow of fluids. Fluids means whether it is a liquid or a gas. Second example is the intensity of force fields. That is gravitational field, electric field, magnetic field. Gravitational field due to mass, electric field due to charge, magnetic field due to the magnetic poles. The third best example for a vector field is velocity of a rotating rigid body. We are going to discuss these examples in detail in the later part of this session. Let us understand how to represent the vector fields, representation of the vector fields. Just like the scalar fields are represented by level surfaces, vector fields are represented by flux lines or field lines. In any vector field, the field can be mapped graphically by a set of lines known as lines of flow or field lines or flux lines. Now observe this diagram. Here we have the lines which are called as field lines, which represents the vector field. Each line represents the direction and magnitude of vector field at that particular point. If you consider the different points, that represents the magnitude and direction of the vector field at each point. So if you want to know the magnitude and direction, we have the simple procedure here. If we want to know the direction of the field at any particular point in space, draw a tangent to these field lines. The tangent at any point on the line gives the direction of the field, and the surface density of the field line, that is magnitude. The number of lines of field lines, number of such field lines per unit area passing through an infinitesimal area drawn perpendicular to the field line at that point, which is numerically proportional to magnitude. I mean, this is a lengthy statement which leads to confusion. So in simple words, what we can say is, if you consider at any point, then the tangent drawn to the field line represents the direction. If you consider a small area of the surface drawn perpendicular to the field line, then the number of field lines passing through that infinitesimal small area per area gives the magnitude of the field. That is not exactly the magnitude. It is proportional to the number of field lines are drawn in such a way that the number of field lines passing through this unit area are proportional to the magnitude. Suppose if 4 lines are passing through this surface, yes, say, then the field strength is more. If only 2 lines are passing through this surface, then the field strength is considered to be less. The number of lines passing through this unit area normally gives an idea regarding the strength of the field at that particular point. Just like no two level surfaces can cross over each other. Similarly, no two field lines can cross over each other. Suppose if the two field lines intersect each other, what happens is, at that particular point, it will have two values, which is contradictory to the definition. At each point, it must have unique value. Now, let us understand the mathematical representation of the field lines or the flux. If we consider a small area ds perpendicular to the vector function a bar, then the number of flux lines passing through this area will be delta phi is equal to, generally we call it as the term flux. The flux passing through this small area ds, observe the second figure, this is the small surface area ds, the number and corresponding to vector a bar. Then the flux passing through this area is given by a bar dot delta s bar. If the vector area delta s bar is given by delta s into unit vector n cap, and theta is the angle between a bar and delta s bar, then the number of flux lines is equal to delta phi, that is equal to a ds cos theta. Just this is the dot product, so we can write it as a ds cos theta. Thus, the total flux phi passing through any surface is given by flux phi is equal to surface integral of a bar dot ds bar. So, using this equation, integral equation, we can calculate the flux passing through any point, which gives the measure of the field strength. Now, with this idea, let us define the term field line. An imaginary line drawn in a region of space such that a tangent drawn to the line at any point gives the magnitude and direction of the vector field at that point is called as field line. Now observe here, we have another example here. We have a point charge plus q. The field lines due to this point charge are arrows drawn normal to the point charge and directed away from it, since this is a positive charge. So now observe here, for the points closer to the point charge, we know that electric field is more but as we move away from the charges, the field strength goes on decreases inversely as square of the distance that we already learned in the lower classes. So therefore, while sketching the field lines for the points closer to the point charge, the length is more, indicating that the field strength is high. For a far off point, the length of the arrow is less, so that the picture clearly indicates at which point the field strength is more and at which point the field strength is less. And also it gives the arrowhead gives the direction of the vector point field. Now this is already we discussed. Now let us have the field lines drawn due to charges and due to magnet. The first one, here we have two charges, one positive charge and one negative charge, a pair of unequal and unlike charges. In this case, field lines are always originates normally from the surface of positive charge, terminates at the negative charge. So now observe here, at the far off distance as we move away, the spacing between the field lines increases. The greater the space indicates the field strength is less. The field strength is decreasing as we move away from it. More the number of lines, greater is the strength of the field. Lesser the number of field lines, lesser is the field strength. Similarly, in case of two like charges, say positive charges, the force is repulsive, so field lines are repulsive in nature. This is the representation of pictorial representation of field lines due to a pair of charges. The figure clearly indicates that if the field lines terminates, then in the nature of the force is attractive. Now here diverging field lines represents the nature of force is repulsive. The first figure represents the attractive force. The second one gives the idea about the nature of force, that is repulsive force. So even though we don't know what type of charges they are, we can easily conclude that they are like charges. In the first case, they are unlike charges, because just by seeing the field lines, we can come to the conclusion. What? First thing, the strength of the field. Second thing, the nature of the charges, not exactly, but the property of the charges we can come to know about just by studying the field lines. Now let us have another figure that is due to a magnet. The field lines, always magnetic field lines originates from the North Pole and terminates at the South Pole. So arrow indicates the field lines. This is how we represent the strength of the field, whether it is electric or magnetic field, by using the concept of field lines. Now let us take one more example. The streamlined flow of fluids. Let us consider the fluid flowing along a narrow tube of varying cross section. We know that at the points where area of cross section is more, the fluid moves with less velocities, while the points where the area of cross section is less, the fluid flows with greater velocities. So in order to understand what is the magnitude of and direction of the velocity of the fluid at each point, we can use the concept of streamlines, that is flux field lines. So now observe here, at each point, the velocity, magnitude and direction of the velocity of the fluid is represented by the tangent. Now similarly, in case of air blow, already we discussed the diagram. The length of the arrow represents the magnitude. The direction of arrow represents the direction of the velocity of the wind at that particular position. This is the streamline flow of air. So this concept of field lines helps us in understanding nature of the vector field in a given region of space. Now let us consider one more illustration. The velocity of a particle of a rotating rigid body. We know that the velocity of a rotating rigid body is a vector quantity whose magnitude and direction change from one point to another point. Therefore, it represents a vector field. Now observe here, as it rotates, the direction changes continuously. So this represents the velocity of a rotating body represents a vector field. This we already discussed in the previous session. Let us recall again. We know that in steady state conditions, always heat flows from a region of higher temperature to the lower temperature. The amount of heat that gets transferred from one point to another point is represented by the vector field. Q bar is Q bar of X, Y, Z. This is about the vector fields. Thank you.